Good evening and welcome to FYI Sports. I'm Lisa Breton.
And I'm Jeremy Perkins. The University of New England's boys basketball team is up and ready for a new season. Led by 8-year coach Lyra Rio, the team graduated 7 seniors and returned 1 senior, 1 junior, and 1 sophomore, and 8 freshmen. Last year's record was 19 wins and 13 losses, and they played first in the WMAC. This year's tri-captains will be former Wells High basketball player Mike Gurgley, along with Jason Crawford and Chris Beery. Gurgley is considered one of the top returnees, averaging 5 points per game last year as a non-starter. The Knights open at home on November 7th against Atlantic Union College. You will be able to see UNE right here on NEC TV Thursday night, November 29th, when they play host to the Plymouth State Panthers. Lisa?
After 3 days of grueling tryouts, it's all over for over 40 prospective basketball players, with the varsity squad narrowed to just 13. Last year, the team only lost 3 seniors to graduation, leaving only 3 spots to fill. But Coach Dufort had a hard time choosing from the vast array of talent, so he picked 5 instead of the expected 3. The final roster consists of juniors Walter Landberg, John Cry in his first full varsity service year, along with Greg Flagg, Ray Arcan, and the remaining 9 seniors, including Jason Bedell, Rob McHale, Jeff Brown, Roy Lynn, Josh Beer, Mike Stapleton, Matt DeBody, and Jeremy Perkins. The team should do well this year after some hard work. You might even see them in the playoffs. Jeremy?
Anyone attending freshman boys basketball games this season will see a new head coach. He is Mr. Charles Chadbourne. However, Chadbourne is not new to the athletic program. He has been greatly involved in the school as well as with the community. He has been a coach in recreational program basketball, as well as a Babe Ruth coach for the 13 to 16-year-old age group. Chadbourne has taken over the position last year, vacated by Vinny Labello. Lisa?
This year, Wells athletes have the pleasure of working with one of the most dedicated coaches in coaching history. Charles Chadbourne is the father of 4 children and lives with his wife in Dayton, Maine. Not only does he have to drive over an hour to get to his practices, but he also has to concentrate on dealing with his cancer. Chadbourne was in the middle of coaching his 3rd year of Babe Ruth baseball when an accident occurred. He was struck from behind in what seemed to be a minor fender bender. However, later on that month, he was experiencing back pains, so his wife encouraged him to go to the doctor, where he was diagnosed as having cancer. After that, he had to go to chemotherapy and other treatments once a week. Even though he was experiencing a great deal of pain, he still managed to attend all of his games and most of the practices, whether it was by sitting in a director's chair with a pillow or standing the entire game. He instills his dedication in his athletes, and hopefully it will be contagious with this year's freshman basketball team. Jeremy?
A rematch of last year's Western Maine Field Hockey Championship has been replayed. For the 2nd year in a row, Cape Elizabeth and Lake Region fought for the Western Maine Class B title. After an amazing victory over York, the Capers move on to tougher grounds, the home of the Lakers. But even though Lake Region was on home turf playing before more than 150 fans, they lost to Cape Elizabeth on Saturday, October 27th. Although much of the game was played in front of Cape Elizabeth's net, Cape's goalie and defense knew that they were in for a tough game. The sophomore goalie came up with 11 saves. Cape Elizabeth, whose season record was 10-6-1, was the tournament's 6th seed. The team lost 4 of its 6 games in September and was done nothing but improve ever since. Their hard efforts paid off when they took the Class B title over top-ranked Lake Region, whose record was 15-2. They proved to be the real champions. Lisa?
The Wells boys cross-country team placed 12th out of the dozen teams in the Class B race for the state championship. The Warriors' goal all season was to qualify for the state meet, and the team's last-place results didn't dampen their moods. And Tony DeRozier's 17:51 time left him in 49th place, and Paul Rosef turned in at 18:19 for a 59th place. Adam Hodgson and Eric Morrow were in 69th and 71st place, followed by Chris Reed, who took 84th. Coach Bob Wynn admitted that it wasn't the team's best race of the year, but he was pleased with the good season that they had. Jeremy?
2 local football teams were both eliminated in the recent Western Maine semifinals. The previously undefeated Kennebunk Rams lost to 4th-seeded Lisbon by a 30-16 score. Kennebunk had 312 yards of offense, but fumbled the ball away 5 times and threw 2 interceptions. Defending Class B champion York was also unable to come up with an upset for the 2nd year in a row, losing to Mountain Valley 27-10. The Falcons had only a 14 10 lead at the half, but totally dominated over York in the second half. Lisa?
What seems to be an effective method of psyching up a team before a game? A pep rally, of course. The pep rally dance on Saturday, November 9th, hopefully did the trick. In preparation for the Wells versus Kennebunk alumni football game, all alumni were invited to join the fun. Starting at 8 p.m. at the Dunaway Center in Agunquit, WPR and New England Cablevision helped rock the night away. Tickets were available for $5 a person and were purchased at Congdon's Donuts or Paris Pizza. Proceeds of the dance will go to benefit the Children's Factory of Maine, Wells High School Scholarship Program, and the Kennebunk High School Scholarship Program. This concludes this edition of FYI Sports. We'll now go to a feature with Lisa Cutting.
As the clock ticks on, the members of the journalism classes here at Wells High School are busy preparing for yet another deadline. Every second counts for each journalist because without their hard work and dedication, the students would be left without a major source of entertainment and information. These students work hard at what they do and, for the basic journalism classes, the Wells Street Journal is their main priority. This paper is published and distributed on a monthly basis. It includes news, feature, sports, opinion, and senior insights. Each student is required to write a minimum of one story before press. Groups of students are assigned to an individual page where they line their pages, computer type their stories, crop their photos, create headlines, design graphics, and overall complete their page layout. Once the 16-page tabloid is complete, it is reviewed by both senior editors and advisor Janet O'Donnell. Then off to press it goes. On the following morning, the paper is picked up at the Journal Tribune in Biddeford, brought back to school, and distributed to the student body in much of Wells community.
As co-editor of the Wells Street Journal, I feel that the basics and the advanced do a great deal of work each month to put the paper out. The advanced also have FYI to do, so it puts a little extra work on them.
While keeping an eye on the basics, the advanced journalism class concerns themselves mainly with the broadcast of FYI. These students have mastered the skills of print journalism and moved on to the professional atmosphere in front of the camera. The students' jobs are on a rotating schedule. The 13 participants of the class each take turns sharing the responsibilities of anchoring, editorials, interviews, floor managing, script editing, features, and publicity. Unlike the basics, the advanced are required to write 2 stories per week. They are also required to write 4 columns over the course of the year for the WSJ. Once the stories are written and reviewed by advisor O'Donnell, they are submitted to 2 script editors where they are arranged in logical order for air. The script is forwarded to all anchors, floor director, and most importantly, station director and producer Bob Gould for editing. All interviews, editorials, and features are taped 1 to 2 days prior to the show by cameraman Steve Twomley.
A pretty busy place. This is the journalism room, the hub of the universe, we like to say. Lots of exciting things happen up here. My advanced journalism students are putting together FYI for broadcast on Wednesday, and my basic journalists, along with the help of the advanced journalists, are working on the newspaper, Wall Street Journal, which goes to press on Thursday. Wonderful things happen up here because I have such wonderfully beautiful and talented students whom I love to work with.
Now, FYI is ready to be televised for Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m. All anchors and floor director are expected at the station at 5 o'clock. Here the anchors review their lines and situate themselves before the camera for the upcoming live broadcast. The floor director stays behind the scenes with Bob Gould and Eric Nelson, making sure things are done correctly. Nelson specializes in the graphics for the show, and Gould associates himself with the camera and screening. Finally, at 5:30, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of Wells High FYI. I'm Carrie Sheehy, and I'm Stephanie Doyle.
Once again, next week, the same cycle repeats itself.
Have you noticed the new 25 businesses in the area? Probably not, because they've only been around a short amount of time. These imaginary businesses were developed by the members of co-op about a week ago and serve as a method of learning. The objective is to allow